The Eurozone is trying to riz itself out, but the economy is like, just put my fries in my bag. The Eurozone has a population of 349 million people and a GDP of $15.6 trillion. And I got some bad news for them, but there's good news at the end of this post. Industrial output of the Eurozone dropped by about 2.9% in May year on year, and that was led by Germany, Europe's largest and strongest economy, with an industrial output drop of 6.6%. The German economy is so desperate that they are exporting their goods to former Soviet states to have them smuggled into Russia. In my opinion, they should be sanctioned. And if you look at the federal deficit of each of these countries, you could see there's a bit of a problem. Not so much with Germany. Take a look at the four largest economies in the EU, and you could see that France, Italy, and Spain are not doing that well when it comes to their deficit and debt. And France is the country most at risk of drowning. Their national auditor sounds alarmed over the public finances. Their federal debt is over 110% of the GDP. The European Commission has a deficit limit of 3% of the GDP. France's is 5.5 actually. And I don't see things looking rosy for the French due to their little dark secret that nobody wants to talk about. France still exploits over a dozen of their former French colonies. The currency of 14 different African countries are actually printed by the French central bank, and they make hundreds of billions of dollars off of it a year. And the French economy saves tens to hundreds of billions of dollars a year, extracting the resources from these former colonies for dirt cheap prices. But the revolution in Mali a few years ago has taken France's access to easy gold. The takeover in Niger last year has taken France's easy access to a little bit of oil, but a ton of uranium. And the most recent revolution in Gabon about 8 months ago has taken France's access to easy, cheap oil. So how on earth is France going to solve its fiscal problems when the resources they've been extracting from for over a century are no longer there? And there's the looming threat of the shadow banking system that's also in Europe. They're called shadow banks because they're not actually banks. They're just institutions with a ton of money that can get by a lot of the banking regulations and make some illegal investments. And if not illegal, very risky investments that banks are not allowed to make. The Eurozone shadow banks have about $41 trillion in assets out of the $218 trillion in total shadow banks around the world. Elizabeth McCall of the Financial Times says that they are the largest threat to Europe's financial landscape. But the good news is that the chairman of the European Banking Authority, Jose Manuel Campa, wants to start putting in regulations even for them. Another bit of positive news is that the Eurozone has actually brought inflation down to 2.5%. Germany also brought it down to 2.5%, and Italy, of all countries, brought it down to 0.9%. This allowed the European Central Bank to make a historic rate cut last month. Add that to the fact that American inflation has come down to 3% and dollars are a little cheaper to buy, meaning that Europe can now import their goods from America at a cheaper price, raising our exports. And if the Federal Reserve actually makes the predicted rate cut in September, then the Eurozone and the United States economy are going to start coming up a bit. Keeping that in mind, it may look like those two major economies are going to start getting out of the muck. My name is the Geo Husar. You should watch this post. Thanks for watching.